carries a rusted weary land. A prince cast out makes his stand. From Chicago's shadow he did rise.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. How we doing?
Hello, hello. Doing good.
Evening, sir.
A casino built where fortunes flow.
Well,
To
it
fill the
is
plains where power grows.
the night of
Clan by clan,
Rusted
step
Soul.
by step, the
It
city
is
stirs from
a
ancient depths.
sidestep from our normal everyday and an opportunity to dive into these characters' lives, their existences, and as close as they come to having a rich and fulfilling existence. Before we hit the ground running, are there any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round off?
Well, none from me.
None that I can immediately think of in this moment pertaining to this game specifically.
Oh, I see. So more questions about the ebb and flow of life and everything else, huh?
Yeah, more like how you're doing.
Thankful as always to have the opportunity of diving into this hobby. Appreciative for your time, your efforts, your energies. I am, despite the very relatively calm demeanor, very happy to be here because this is an opportunity for us to dive into play. This keeps us young, our minds spongy and springy, able to make more folds than would otherwise be allowed in our banal existences of adulthood. So, thank you, and thank you. And without too much further ado, for those in the back who didn't hear us the first time, this is officially, without a shadow of a doubt, Soup City Rusted Souls, the 5th episode of our season. Tonight's episode is entitled Not Yet Aware of Fate's Disguise. That is quite a mouthful, but what it boils down to, without any spoilers, of course. When we last left this coterie, through Marie's efforts, her focusing on her clinic and the students therein and doing the basic accounting for her students' well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically, because what good shepherd doesn't? Yes, occasionally and eventually she would take a fatted calf for herself or some other investment of their existence. To be less obtuse about it, she uses the clinic as a hunting ground for her and takes the pains of making sure they are as well accounted as possible so that she might only subsist without overly preying on her herd, which is what she considers the vast majority of the student body. In the doing, she discovers that there are, through the efforts of Dr. Frederick and Anand looking over the data with her, that there are signs of extreme predation on the student body. And if it's not her, and if it's not the remainder of the coterie, that raises considerable other questions that must be addressed. As they were working towards a plan of action, entered Otto in all of his grandiosity and pomposity and his bombast and his refusal to accept the simple letters of no. They managed to work their way through Otto. They managed to reach out to various other allies. They managed to concoct the basic foundations of a plan, resulting in reaching out to Hester Green in Chicago and Regent Cone Rose, the former regent of the chantry here in Gary, for eventual assistance to conduct and comport a protection, several protections, to better secure the chantry building itself. They also managed to alight at Salacious through Otto's extensive upper crust, very elite gourmand circles. And that's where we begin, at Salacious. That's where we pick up the Coterie having a private, though easily accessible box of sorts. Low tables, high boys, a few couches, a relative private VIP section that was open to Salacious as a whole instead of one of the private feeding suites. This particular box, this particular location, giving them a view of the floor. They look down on the happenings of Salacious as if they are in a private box at a Coliseum auditorium. They're able to watch all of the kind and kindred in their pseudo private moments, whispering sweet nothings or suckling at all of that easily obtainable vitae. Which is where we begin. The overly luxurious and sumptuous decor of Salacious. The coterie in their raised position on the second floor of Salacious, looking down over the ebb and the flow, watching the way the security moves, the wait staff, the donors, watching as Tyven dances and flits and moves through the club, touching several tables, approaching several others. In other words, being the host with the most, while at the bar, his purported bodyguard, though no one really believes it, the lovely party girl herself, the queen of the ceremonies, the one person you probably shouldn't mess with in the entirety of the bar, at least if you're judging solely on appearances, because her appearance promises soft, sumptuous curves, her décolletage drawing the eye, her biceps well formed and defined, rippling just beneath her blouse. Her phone all constantly in hand, a few selfies, a few group pictures, a picture captured of a drink being made, more selfies in the offing. Yet, for those of you with a wits and a larceny or wits and investigation of at least 5, you'll realize that even in her selfies, as she is self-absorbed there at the bar, she is keeping an eye on Tyven. She is keeping an eye and attention over the floor. She is able to weave her way into small bits of social interactions with skill and aplomb. It seems, if you are not mistaken, that she is talking to herself. She may be talking to others in her phone, but either way, she has somehow managed to keep a split focus on her own personal world and that of those around her. All the while, Otto, in his pseudo-Germanic, clearly put upon false accent, going on. And this one here, you would love this one here. This is very, very savory. It causes the blood to flow and gets you excited. This is good. We should all try sample this one. Though I'm not sure how many of us would be able to easily feed. He is a relatively large person, but is it, the blood volume is what the blood volume will do. What? What? Why is everyone so depressed? Are we not going to take the edge off of our own individual peace? Would you all like prefer your own donor? This is fine. I
I
can make sure that we all
honestly,
eat.
I'm just taking it all in.
What does that take in? It's just salation. This is always salation. This is, well, not the best place that I've ever fed, but it is very close. There is this lovely space in Indianapolis where the donors they dance down the center of the club in various states of dress. I was very impressed as to how they were able to make sure that everything still drew the attention, but managed to stay on and stay hidden. Very tasteful. Very diffident. Oh no, not diffident. Demure. Very nice. Very titillating. And there were lots of titillates to be related, but
All
they would
right,
dance down the center
all right,
of the on the
Otto.
almost conveyor belt, and you would simply wave your fan, and then they'd lean in. And the meat in the area, they had managed to um, grow these spigots almost. You would simply just reach forward and undo the clasp with your tongue, and all of it deliciously sanguine. Oh, it fills the souls. It makes the
Otto.
nipples hard.
Uh, just let's watch what we say when we're in public.
Oh, no one can hear us. All of these suites are how do you? They're designed to remain private from outside. If you step right outside the glass door and close it, you will never hear anything happening inside here. I've done it so many times. You think that being here you'd be able to eavesdrop and catch divots of conversation, but no. Once you are more than 2 feet from the door, you can't hear anything.
Okay, I'm gonna stand 2 feet on the other side of the door real quick, Otto. I just want to test this.
I like this. This is so very good. Okay, close the door. Close the door.
Okay.
Don't say anything. Just move your lips.
I just want to point out one thing. It's all fine and well to think that you can't be heard by people outside or people inside can't hear what's going on outside. But did you ever stop to think that the reason that they have these private rooms is to lull people into a false sense of security and get them talking about things they don't want anybody else to know and then use that against people? Tybin likes
Do I hear this?
Not at all.
Oh, I be damned.
gather people's secrets and use them against them. So let's still be careful about what you say.
Oh, but Tywin is such a lovely boy. He, in fact, this place I was telling you of, Indianapolis, it is one of the places that he showed me. He also has this lovely jewelry store. It is a speakeasy style, just over the border in Illinois. Not nearly as nice as the place in Indianapolis. And I don't think that he's ever revealed any secrets to me. And he and I go very far back. His sire, Silk, was such a lovely soul. Jacob, you remember the lovely brown girl that used to run the place before Tywin was here?
No, not really. There was
Oh,
someone,
but of
I
course
don't
you do.
remember.
She was the one who ensured that you didn't get run out of town on a stake for being the clerk at the chantry before when Cone was busy with the farmer fellow.
Then yes. Then
Lovely
I
black girl. Such beautiful creamy skin. She smelled wonderful. Despite being a whore at heart, she smelled like fresh jasmine with a little honey, something creamy, not quite dairy, but sweet almost. And the way that she laughed, oh, the way that she laughed, not like Ivan, the big closed lip, oh, as if he's putting on airs. With Thurston Howell from that show I used to like, Gilligan's. That's how he laughs. She would have her voice tinkling and chiming like the finest of china. I miss her. We should invite her back. I understand that she is across the border in Illinois. And when he finishes his soliloquy, his monologue, he leans in to Anand. See, if if Ivan was collecting secrets, he would have taken the greatest offense at that. He likes to be the best after all. It's the reason why he associates and spends so much of his time with Rita.
Look, I know you think that you have proven me wrong, but again, you do what you want to do. The thing is, Ivan has learned how to school and master his things, and school and master his mannerisms. So, obviously, if he was annoyed or irritated by something we said, and him busting in here to get on us about something we said would prove that he's listening in, and then the jig would be up, now wouldn't it?
Perhaps you're right. Forgive me, please don't beat me. You know I only mean the best for you. Unlike these other gentlemen, I don't find it offending at all that you and Tamata are the highest ranked Tremere, despite our many more years of loyal service to the pyramid. Unlike our peers, I find your personage absolutely lovely, no matter how many times you fall to having to beat me or hurt me. You know I kind of enjoy it. Unlike our peers, I don't find an offense with Rita. I know something that you all don't consider. Now that Cone has left, uh, predominantly his line, our sire's line is the most, well, could be easily the most powerful here in Gary if we were to work together. If we were to, well, if we were to put our heads together, and then he looks at Marie, you know, just us Tremere, we could do so very much together. That's the reason why I suggested we come here, not just satiate my want and my need, but we together here in front of all of these other lessers proves that our sire was right, proves that we are better than them.
Speaking of which,
But I know that I'm not.
talk to you about some. There has been a fairly high level Tremere in the area, and they haven't come back to the chantry, as it were. But they have set up wards, fairly complicated and strong wards, at a separate location, and we happened to stumble across it. And it seems as they've been doing so for years. So I'm wondering if you had any names that stood out to you as to maybe possibly who might be strong enough to do something like that. Set up practically a satellite chantry in a separate location all by themselves.
Well, you are aware that we are the brightest, the best, outside of Rita and Sophia. And maybe even your sister might be somewhere in the range of near enough to be talented and skilled. But if I were to put my money on anything, I don't trust Sophia. Rita, I trust. She has excellent taste. She and her little crusade. If not for that, I think that she might have actually taken over from Cone all those many years ago.
Well, normally I'd agree with you. This energy and vision that I received was male.
Well, we don't know what Sophia really identifies as. It it can be a non-psychological reason for all of those baggy clothes and male-centric focus of her attire. There's got to be something there. Perhaps some sexual dysmorphia along with some self-loathing. Perhaps maybe because she doesn't quite know who she is. Is the reason why she decries her own people. Uh, Sophia is an Iranian name. Comes from something Muslim, Iranian, Middle Eastern something that she never addresses. You never see any of the artwork in her tattoo parlor. You never see her associating with other Muslims. You never see her associating with other Iranians. In fact, she doesn't even associate with us Tremere. I find that problematic. I find that offensive. I find her need to be alone a threat to what we have, especially being she has such a very good lineage. She does come from our line, after all. Isn't that correct, Frederick?
I have
How do we
said
know that for certain?
as he's talking, like let Frederick back in so that he's not missing this conversation.
Yeah, I got in when he was asking about something earlier. But how do we know for sure of her lineage? She seems disinterested in aiding, right? Has any of us even tried to reach out to her?
No, why would I do such a thing? Why would I stoop? Our job as Tremere are to raise each other and the world up, not to bend down to make ourselves small, to pretend to be what the children are these days, like just finger painting all over our skin. That's ridiculous, isn't it, Jacob?
I would just silently nod. And look where
See,
it
he
goes.
agrees with me completely. He understands that we have to be ourselves and we have to live up to our lineage for us to be of any note whatsoever. Speaking of which, Jacob, who is your sire? I never got the opportunity to ask. Is your sire, in fact, our sire?
Well, I don't know. No, obviously not. And you have never met him. And I have not met him for a long time, so I believe he's dead. So it's not important anymore who he was.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bring up a sore subject. Not everyone who is worthy of our time and our effort, such as yourself, has such an auspicious beginning as us. You do realize that if not for Hone, traipsing through here like a bull in a china shop, helping to better fortify what became our chantry, that our sire would have been the regent of Gary, and perhaps even the regent of Indianapolis. Sadly, Cone's political maneuvering and his skill at playing people for his own profit, and those others jealous of our sire, is the reason why we are here today.
You almost sound like you wish to emulate your forebearers.
You do understand that we are the creme de la creme, barring Rita, of course. But we are the best that there are here in Gary.
I concur, but that should not give us room to be complacent in our current standing. If there's any way to improve, we should not become rigidly still. Honestly, while we should be proud of our clan's past and our more immediate past, we can't overlook that there may be some advantages yet to be employed by us.
What other advantages could there be besides mastering thaumaturgy, mastering blood sorcery, mastering that which no other but us can do?
A very lofty goal that I wish to strive to meet, but we have to worry about our more immediate threats before we get the luxury of academia.
I don't see those as threats. I see that as an opportunity. Some kindred is feeding on our domain as well. We haven't gotten official lease or release from Prince Maxwell, but he'll certainly see the profitability of having us manage and oversee the college campus. After all, who better than us to keep a watch on? And he leans in. I mean, us Tremere, not necessarily all of us, because after all, Gangrel, there can be lapdogs, but for the most part, it's only going to be so long before Marie wanders off to perhaps scratch herself or some other such thing. And but barring that, of course, who is better than us to keep a watch on the college? There's no one else. I may have had my scandal back in the day in Chicago, but that was many, many years ago, and it does not apply to now. And Jacob may be unassuming, but that's what we would like. He's our version of a Nosferatu, invisibly present, presently invisible, there but easily forgotten. And you, Dr. Frederick, such a handsome televangelist, no one would ever doubt you if you were to appeal to the secular portion of the students. And Anand, you are certainly, well, how do the kids say it? You are certainly the girl boss with the most, and Tamata is clearly a sexual predator who is going to drive students in our path as we help them get away from him. These things work together perfectly.
You're saying that we are each distinctive enough that we can have an individual piece of the pie, so to speak.
Yes, fingers in pies filled with cream, spread all over the place, and we get to slurp up the delicious, filling, flaky crusted morsels. I'm getting a bit peckish. Has anyone decided which donors we should have?
Are any of them smokers?
I'm sure we could find such a. Gary, after all, nearly everyone smokes something: crack, meth, old.
Well, One of the men I was tutoring was using something new called Zen. It's like a nicotine powder. Very odd.
Disgusting. One should not put powders in their mouth. It was one of the greatest failings of the late 40s, the tinctures and poultices cracked open and served upon the tongue, and was a disgusting thing. I don't agree. I don't enjoy the idea of these powdery, flaky things sliding across my tongue. What about you, Anand? Do you enjoy things sliding across your tongue?
Curse words? Yes. We like those.
Well, I can't say that I agree, but I defer to your knowledge. And Jacob, you work with all of those mysterious chemicals and vats and such. Is there a thing that you like?
No real preferences.
Oh, that is a shame. You should sample. You should taste. You should enjoy. You should allow your taste to envelop you and find something that you prefer more than the other. If it is all the same, then that means none of it is very good. You can't have everything taste the same, with no preference without all of it being, well, crap. So I will go find and ring up our host and have him bring us our delectables. You want someone who likes to put powder. You want someone who's tasty, and you don't have a preference. And you neither, Maria and Tomato. Of course, you all have your own privacies. But I might make a few suggestions for our host. You sally amongst yourselves. I will return. And he steps out, leaving you all alone.
Now that we have a... You were going to speak?
If he wasn't bankrolling half of this shit, I think we'd make him go missing a long time from now. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
No, we have to look out for our fellow clan. But what I was going to say is, now that we have a moment to talk constructively, wow, there was some constructiveness in Otto's discussion. We need to start breaking down a step-by-step plan on how to get our overfeeding issue figured out. And an immediate step, I believe, would be to figure out some more details of the students that have had the anemia. Would you guys concur?
I think you're right. I think we need to figure out what they had in common and who they may or may not have come in contact with, so that we know what the general hunting ground sort of situation would be for whatever this, for whomever this is that is causing such a explosion of drinking of students. But yeah, let's look for patterns, possible connections, that sort of thing.
When Marie showed us those papers, were we just given like figures, or did we also have names? Like, did we have a piece of paper as like a HIPAA violation, so to you know?
I think it was mostly names, ages, and like basic statistics, and what they were being checked in for, and symptoms and such. If we were going to look further, we'd probably have to look them up in some sort of student record, which means we need somebody that's tech savvy. I have a little bit of tech savviness, but I'm sure we can find somebody that's a little more tech savvy so that we can compile the information.
I would like to make a very un-tech savvy attempt, if you two wouldn't mind. I pull out a cell phone in like a Mylar bag, and I turn on the phone and pull up Facebook, and I'm just going to like look up the name, and I believe there's like some like filter you can add for like education.
I would also, speaking about the things they have in common, a bit of topic. I do know that the budget motel is something, is a place where a lot of them start partying from Thursdays and way until Monday, or sometimes not even finishing. So this can be a place where some of them went to party and were snatched by a hunter, or maybe they were just like led to another direction from there. This is something we can explore.
True, but if it's a motel, then our predator might have the ease of access of a isolated spot to feed, i.e. their own room, adjacent to where the party's actually happening.
Well, we can look there. We can also ask people
Jacob,
around.
how would we follow through with that thought of yours?
Well, what I'm saying is like we can go there. We can see if there's some other students partying. It would be cool if we had any pictures for those that we have the list of, So maybe we can ask around about them. But mostly we can just show up there and look for some clues. Maybe someone else is partying at the moment, and then the person that hunts them can show up. It's a little far-fetched, but it's something that I have as a lead, closest to the lead as possible.
So, thoughts percolating. Are there any decisions?
I would like to actually start trying to look up these names on the internet with like that feature on Facebook. But Jacob had a really great idea that I think we should totally pursue. My thing can be done in the passenger seat of the car.
Can
Or
I
are you
help
guys going to leave?
a little bit towards
Mhm.
Jacob? You sure you only want to? Don't only want to go back to the hotel because of that room, and you know the magic in it, and you wanted to study it a little more. That's not what this is about, is it?
I'm sure that I want to study that magic, but this is the other matter. It just happens to be that this place does have a common thing for all the missing people, since it can be a gathering point for them. But if you're talking, if you're asking if I'm just leading us there to study the room, no. But I would very much like to do that the second I get the chance.
So how do we know that they all have the hotel in common? Where do we get that assumption that they all have the hotel in common? Or is that just a really good guess?
No, just that's something that I've learned over the years. That they always gather. They always gather the budget metal for parties. This is like the spot number one. You look for students, you go there. It was so way before the chantry got destroyed. So it shouldn't have changed.
Yeah, but the paper states that this is a new thing, that the trend is coming up recent.
Right, but he's saying that it is a normal inclination of the student body or people of that age to be using a cheap motel to get shit-faced. Part of my language, of course. And that probably the person of interest has also noticed this pattern, and that is why they have set up their area where they have. Is that what you're saying, Jacob?
Exactly.
I do. I'm standing up and I am starting to kind of like slowly like get towards the door. Like, so are we all getting a bite to eat, or can we get moving? We only get so many nights before the sun explodes. You know what I mean?
The thing is, we originally came here not just to get anything to eat. We're all supposed to be networking and finding new potential acolytes and making connections and such like that. So it was also supposed to be a social call, not just eating. But we can cut things a little short after we've done a little bit of socializing and head to the hotel if that's what people wish to do.
I will concede towards that, Anand.
I would also like to skip on a meal and go straight to investigate.
Well, skip the meal, do the socializing, and then
Like the devil, you speak of
where's
him and he
Anand?
shall appear. Exactly so. As you all draw towards a close, with Dr. Parker halfway from where you all have been gathered around the table and at the various chairs and shades and the suite, he appears there at the glass door with several scantily clad donors. Some of whom probably shouldn't be scantily clad, but there should be a limit to how much body hair someone has, and they are clearly over that by roughly 4 to 5 times. There are others who should probably do with more consumption of starches and protein to put on a little weight. There are others who are, let's be perfectly honest, a freshly bathed homeless person. And worst of all, there is also a few of whom clearly indulge in more recreational drug activity to the point that it is their avocation and career. You will never believe who I have found. There is Cheryl, there is Tiffany, there's Brandon, this is Chad, this is Chalaver, this is Tall. I don't know why they call him Tall. It's Paul, but with a T. And this is I'm sorry. Your name, Bob. Oh, this is Bob. And you, madam, your sister's Bob. If you are, don't say it is Neil. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's Carolyn. Carolyn. That. Oh, sorry. Forgive me. Sherilyn, not Carolyn. And this fellow here, this tall specimen of a man. I'm a woman, dude. Oh, forgive me. It's hard to tell in this dim light. But come in. Meet my friends. This is Anand. This is Frederick. This is Jacob. That over there in the corner, the small, quiet one, that is Mary. And this is Tamata. Professor that fills the hiccup. Come in, make yourselves at home. These people have the best olfactory responses. They just get close. They get the bodies into the nose. They are very, very touchable, very, very nice. We have a lot of very good friends. Everyone, meet everyone. Everyone, mingle amongst ourselves.
Hello.
To say it feels as if you are
Yes,
being bombarded and attacked by the Walking Dead would be an understatement. This is a shambling horde of persons who have given their lives over to their addictions. This is a Since this is a charcuterie board, it will be made of pre-chewed Lunchables.
pre-chewed Lunchables. Oh my god. No, thank you.
Come in, mingle, everyone. Anand, I found this lovely specimen. She reminds me of you. What's that supposed to mean? Bob offers. Very tough, very strong, very girl boss. She is radiant. You can feel the power wafting off of all, and he literally nuzzles her bicep as he does this. Such a lovely person. She's very, very strong. You will love their joke. Tell them the one about your dog. It wasn't a joke. My dog died.
I mouth to them. I am so sorry.
It's fine. It was their time. They were 22 years old. They've been blind for the last 7. It's still rough. I can see them now by the refrigerator, shaking because it's too cold by the refrigerator. Noises always made them anxious. They would go bravely to defend me and stand between me and the refrigerator every night. Just their eyeballed little body blindly facing the refrigerator, shaking. It was so cute. You know how it is, right, girl?
Well, this is life and this happens. Very, very
I
tragic.
have never had a dog live that long. That is a very, very long life for a dog. Terrifying. But nice meeting you, though. Thank you for coming in. Yeah.
No, it's my pleasure. Otto is regular, and he never talks long with me, and he said he would introduce me to his friends.
We're a lot more evenly tempered than our friend Otto here.
He is such a card. See, I told you would love them. They are very friendly. Bob, you should make yourself at home with Anand. I'm sure that they had many stories of their pets growing up that you all could share. Frederick, you should definitely snuggle up with Charlene. You all have an interest in science. And Jacob, you, like the old country. You, Tulliver, come closer. Otto is a discerning host. Mingle. And when he says it, he makes a swashing attempt with his hands, attempting to cross his arms and wave his hands like wings in front of him as he says so, as if he's casting a magic spell to cause you all to immediately start conversing.
So you say you like science. Is that more hard sciences or the social sciences?
I had a chemistry set, and I made the best ivory soap that had them send me a cease and desist. When I was a child, I realized that I liked everything about Irish Spring soap except for the scent, and I worked at it by melting it down and then reconstituting it with after purifying it through several filters. Charcoal works the best, but you can also do it with ash and reconstituting the bar into a singular bar. And there were impurities, of course, because it was filtered and so poorly at that time. But as I worked at it and better refined my purification process, instead of just simply melting it down, I would melt it down in a purifying substance, preferably I like plain vanilla, but my mother would never let me use it. She said it was too expensive. So I began melting it down into ivory soap residue, and then I would strain it to get rid of all the other impurities from the Irish Spring, and then I would
How
melt
about
it
since
down
then,
again.
though?
Found a way to turn Fabuloso into a personal cleaning bar instead of wasting so much. It's already concentrated, so then you concentrate it by putting it into a bath of more Fabuloso, and then you make sure that you raise the temperature so that you dehydrate it so that it concentrates, and then you melt it down so that you pour it into the mold for a bar, and you can use the bar instead of the liquid so that you don't have to use so much. You literally just rub the bar on what you're trying to clean, and then you take a few droplets of water and wipe away, and it is more concentrated.
Looking at this person's pupils, is there like do they seem appropriate for the lighting in this room?
inappropriate? Do you mean that all you can see is the dilation? You can't tell what color their eye is, unless, of course, their eye really is black.
Okay, they're on something. Cool. So how about that Breaking Bad, huh? A show about a chemist.
I like the idea of it, but I don't think the yellow color worked for them at all. And bitch is not a very scientific term, nor is eat chicken tenders and chicken. Why would you why would you launder your money through a chicken joint? It is very, very bad. The police would be all over you in a moment. They would expect you automatically by having a chicken restaurant to be in the drug deal business. What you would want to do is open up a Starbucks, but you would not have it open long enough to actually do business. You would just, in fact, import the money and say that it was cash and no one was using the Starbucks app. No one questions a large deposit from Starbucks, but everyone questions a large deposit from several chicken restaurants. So you would have to make sure, either if you're going to do the chicken restaurant, you would need to make sure that your food was superlative. No one could compete with you. That means you would be spending more of the money that you need to wander through the chicken joints to avoid the police, which means you would actually have to be busy. You would actually have to have people working and actually have to have really good food. But instead of that, you can just go with a Starbucks that always seem to be closed when people try to order from the app, and that way no one would question the money because Starbucks makes money hand over fist. The only other thing would be a Subway restaurant that always stays closed. If you opened up a Subway sub shop and never actually had anyone inside, everyone would assume that it's just the way of things, and then you could launder as much money as you want, considering that most Subway owners make roughly $150,000 a year, but does require that they actually work inside the store.
Cheryl, have you thought about going to business school?
I would approach Frederick at the point where this person was talking to him, and I would just be like interrupting this and saying that we are overstaying our welcome. We should thank you, our host, and be on our way. We do have a lot of things to take care of course, until the next time we come for a visit. What do you say, Frederick and Anand?
No, it is perfectly fine. I drive for Lyft. I can make sure that you all are going home safely. You should not be leaving a place like this in your own vehicle. After all, you could be easily imbibed, overly so, especially as they don't really charge the proper price for drinks. I always wonder how he does that. But the drinks, instead of it being the expected $26 for a martini, you only pay $3. You only pay $1 for beer for 12 ounces and less, $1.50 for 16 ounces. This is not a very good business model.
We'll figure it out.
Unsure.
Thank you. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll take a walk and no need to take a car. Anand, what do you say?
Anand is like listening, but her eyes kind of glaze over for a minute, and she gets like this stroke of genius. Oh, we do need a business manager at the chantry. And if we Google him, we can make him fairly useful. She's not saying this, but this is what's in her head. She's like staring at him. Like, huh.
Googling the soap obsessed woman?
And do you want someone so loyal to Otto to be your ghoul in the chantry without knowing the Otto's agenda fully?
Yeah, cool. My agenda is really simple. We should make friends. We are all friends. If you'll excuse me 1 second before you all decide to leave, I need to go give our thanks to Tyron for tolerating our presence and making sure that, as friends of Rita, we have a place of respect. I will be right back. Perhaps I can get him to come say hi for us, but I will be right back. And Otto disappears again. Someone of such a large bulk and a huge girth, who takes pains in expressing his displeasure and distaste in any physical activity, he is surprisingly light on his feet. And he's surprisingly quick, because no sooner has he begged your apology for stepping away that he is gone.
I would talk to Frederick and Anand a bit separately. If these people that he brought in the room are still there, that I would like talk to them in the side. So it feels a little bit like stalling for time, to me.
As much as I think we should all stick together,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Otto might be a little more happy here, and we could always come back and get him after.
true. But he might need supervision. But at the same time, we have to do what we have to do. I would like to give some contact information to the to what was her name? Cheryl,
Darling.
Charlene. Yeah, the one I was talking to. I would like to give contact info to and say, hey, if you want to be bilingual, reach out to me and I can teach you some French if you want. But yeah, Jacob, I do agree with you. Let's ditch Otto.
Good, I'm ready to go.
It very much is all of that and then some, as you all easily slip out. In fact, as you make it to the first floor and begin leaving, finding his bulk in his bright-ish red suit in the sea of people is not impossible, but it might as well be. You don't see him, nor his head of mostly salt, lightly peppered hair. He is not there, and neither is Tyven. Neither is Anaya.
Uh, you don't think he was sneaking off to converse with others, do you?
It's hard to say with him. It really is. I want to trust him, but at the same time, some small part of me arm's length with his shenanigans, particularly. So, um, hmm, it does seem a little strange, but do we really have time to try to unwind and unravel whatever the fuck it is that's going on and still make it to where you guys wish to go?
He'll stay and keep a watch on him. Marie volunteers. I'll let you know if he's up to anything.
Thank you. That would be very, very helpful.
I looked at Tamata. Are you staying or going?
How are you gonna get there if I don't drive? Not like you have a license or the key to my car. It's
Did
my
you forget we
caddy.
came in a stretch limo?
I didn't. I don't trust Otto enough for that. That's the reason why I drove my car behind you.
Smart.
I don't know where he's been. I don't trust his stories. Like there's just something odd about him. Like impulse control. That's what it is. He reminds me of the kids in my class who actually bother to show up just to get on their phone or to play on their tablet or to search YouTube videos loud enough that I can hear them at the front of the class while I'm trying to sleep.
Aren't you supposed to be teaching?
But they learn a lot more when they're given a task and allowed to screw up on their own.
My biggest question is, how do you manage to sleep?
very, very diligently. You have to hold on to the idea that you are, in fact, as alive as you want to be, and it doesn't hurt making sure that you have the absolute most soaked in the finest push and gas blood you can get your hand on. It's as close to an actual peaceful existence as you can find. Uh, I have a student. He's my guy for such things. He only smokes the high power weed, and he smokes it enough that he wouldn't test clean on a drug test if you gave it to his down the hall roommate. Is how much he smokes. So every time you pull him to the side and sample a little of his blood, your blood alcohol level, your well, in our case, our vitae blood alcohol level would come back radioactive. And a few sips of him before every class, and it is the best feeling in the world to simply float along on all of the resonance that comes with being completely zooted.
Now I'm starting to wonder about you and this uptick in students with anemia.
Oh no, he's a quadruple super student. He actually only maintains his student status so he can sell weed on the campus.
Professional
Park this
student.
fine
Okay.
to the car. Let's go. I'm not asking any other questions because if the cops come, I don't know nothing.
Oh no, I haven't seen him since my classes have been out of session because well, anyway, we don't need to know about that, but I got funding, so I will soon have a full roster of students who will pay me for an A to not show up. It's great. It's a great hustle if you guys get. Well, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I don't want you cutting in on my action. So, where are we going again? Don't tell me we're going to the budget motel. That's like asking for trouble.
I won't tell you we're going to the budget motel.
So, we are going to the budget motel. That's just great. You do know that place is some other Tremere's chantry, and not a Tremere that we know. Unless, of course, it's you, Frederick. Or, how do Otto say it? Friedrich. That kind of grows on you. Friedrich and Jakub. I don't like being called tomato, though, but for you guys, that's fine.
Well, I think it's the lead that we have. It's unfortunate that it's dangerous, but something we have to deal with.
Dangerous. You do realize it makes me jealous because some other Tremere has all of the protections that a chantry should have, and they don't even bother to invite us in. Some other Tremere has put in the work and built a chantry for themselves right under our nose. Some other Tremere is here in the city that we don't know anything about.
There's also a
And
different thing that occurred to me while we were talking about all of this is that some rituals require a specific blood resonance. And how would you best find a glut of people with that particular blood resonance, say for to hunt a specific area? Like actually Jacob was mentioning maybe the fact that he's hunting or they're hunting at the hotel, they're looking for high students or students feeling a certain type of way. Maybe it's they're looking for students with depression or whatever stress, and they're getting that specific blood, maybe not just for feeding, but for a ritual. And we should probably figure out what the fuck ritual it is real quick so that we know how to maybe stop it or keep it from happening, because it could be potentially bad if I'm going by the residents or potential residents that they're picking.
Well, why don't we just deface it? Isn't that a possibility?
What do you mean? What do you mean deface it?
Like, you can see it, right? When you are using, again, I have not ventured into the skill of aspects, so I don't exactly know what magic looks like. However, is there not some way to interfere with a ward?
There's
Oh,
always
breaking
a
a rule. Jacob,
oh,
you know.
yeah. There is always a way, but with whatever's in that motel, this is something that took him a long time of setting up, and it's very complex. It's like one word is on another. It's a multi-layered system of words. It can be obviously broken, but it requires time and studying and etc.
Or a way to circumvent? Yes. What's the odds they have the entirety of the room warded, right?
If they have the entirety of two rooms warded, it's the two that we saw. There may be some more words in
Oh.
there. Yeah, there's like a very serious warding system that they have set up there.
I'm assuming we are walking and talking to the car as we are having this
Yes.
conversation and not standing in the middle of a club having this discussion.
Yeah. We're walking and just using hushed tones. We're very clumped together.
That's the goal and the mission. You guys have outlined several fundamental risks and problems that lay ahead of you. How to accomplish the investigation, how best to find the wards, how best to curtail anyone else's use of the preparations being put into whatever is in the offing. Salacious to budget gives you all more than enough time to concoct a detailed plan. Because while Salacious is nearly as far east as you can go in Gary, they're just off of Melton, i.e., I-20. Budget, as you all know so very intimately, is they're off Broadway. And there's several ways you guys can go, of course. You can take 20 all the way back over to 65 and circle around towards Broadway, i.e., down to 94, and then north to Broadway. You can take 20 all the way over and exit at Broadway. Of course, it requires a little more effort, being as the 20 turns into the 90, while merges onto the 90 there as you get closer to Broadway, which is Route 53. Either way you all go, for a portion of your trip, you will be on the expressway watching Gary disappear past your windows. No matter which way you go, you will be given the opportunity of seeing Gary on the move. For most people, driving through Gary along the streets is a death sentence, depending on the hour of the night, depending on which neighborhood you're driving through. Even kindred avoid certain areas of Gary when alone, unarmed. Oh, knowing Tamata, of course, he takes the most indirect route there. He takes the long roundabout path there. In fact, heading further east over 20, merging onto the 94, instead of just going due west to the 51. And he takes the 94 down and around and uh, accidentally makes the wrong turn onto 65 so that he has to double back across 65 and up through 94 onto Broadway, but on the wrong side, so that he's heading towards the actual college campus before he realizes it. Force of habit, and he pulls over there to the Genoa Healthcare and then backtracks and does a 3-point turn and gets back onto Broadway and back north across Broadway toward Budget. In other words, while he goes out of his way to keep everything light, jokey, and comedic, there is a clear reticence to go back to the Budget Motel. I'm not sure is it because of his sense of entitled elitism, or is it there's some true underpinnings of fear with the idea of being there? Either way, it's how he gets you all there. And as you see the red and off-white, well, closer to gray sign out front as he eases down Broadway towards 23rd to make that right, make that left, to pull into the lot. It is 15 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 and be back here at 25 after. All right, folks, and like last night's spicy chicken pot pie, we're back. Ready returned?
I am preparing myself a taco real quick, but I can hear and respond.
Excellent, excellent. Well, tacos are tacos. It's not Tuesday, but yeah, no. We will definitely give you a pass.
Yeah, I got a little unorthodox with Taco Wednesdays.
Oh, when we last left, you all were arriving and alighting outside of Budget Motel. It is all that you remembered and then more. Last time you all were here, it was an off evening. This evening, approaching the darkened, poorly designed, surprisingly large, quiet roadside motel, and you all can feel the bass vibrating through the brick. There are several parties afoot inside. You can hear, or at least believe you can hear, mixed in with the bass, the sound of people doing what people do in the dark or for money on various sites electronically. You can swear that you could smell the weed wafting into your pores. You could swear that the scent of distilled grape is mixing and mingling with your very cellular structure. Cheap beer, garbage weed, cheap booze of all variety, blending and melding and soaking into the very oxygen molecules in the air around you. There's a different feel to the place. Touch of its well-used magic becoming something more akin to a stumbling, over-inebriated uncle instead of the quiet, dreading menace from your last visit.
Yeah, I knew it was Tamata, me, Jacob, and Marie last time. So Frederick is the newest person, and they weren't with us when we felt what we felt last time, right?
Yes. Hmm. Little changes, big results. Here you are now with it. Instead of the quiet, almost tomb-like nature it had before, this is more vibrant. This, in the midst of the parties going on, changes how the magic feels. You all know, those of you with a witch awareness of 4 or higher, you all know and can still feel the hint of it. But because of the raucous parties and couples and groups held through one and several other rooms in the space, filling it with the vibrancy of life, that it has a different feel. It as without actually changing. It's as if there's been enough cologne and perfume added atop whatever this scent is, that it melds with that cologne, that perfume, and takes on a more pleasant appearance. That hint of musk, that subtle trill of danger somehow becomes palatable. Probably more accurate. As you all sit here, stand here, in the parking lot, you have several decisions ahead of you. How will you all progress? What will you all do when the rabbit of your hunt is better able to camouflage?
It is now striking me that I do look pretty old.
You do. You very much look like someone's young grandfather, and you're at Party Central. You look like someone's older great great uncle who works for the police. You look like someone's very caring but elderly priest coming to save them from their own demons. You look like a well meaning, nosy neighborhood busybody. And these are predominantly college children or those who are mentally younger, partying, carousing, engaging, person to person, hand to hand, phone to phone. A lot of parasympathetic relationships had in person.
So, Frederick, I know you were not with us before, but and granted, the energy is way different today for some reason. I guess it's all the people, but I'm just fair warning. We are not going to split up for any reason. Um, the wards, as Jacob mentioned before, were fairly powerful and complex. So the person who created them is potentially dangerous to us if they decide to get pissed off, but there are more of us than there are of them. So hopefully it will be a learn and leave it alone versus a fuck around and find out, I guess. Um, we're mostly coming to notice patterns, see if we can figure out what's going on with the magic, maybe make some notes, learn some things, and again, stick together. If you feel overwhelmed at any reason, for any reason,
Who's splitting up to get the room?
Tamata. You know I
Well,
care
I'm not going to pay for the room.
very much. I will stab you.
I suppose I'll buy I'll rent a room.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that.
That way we have a fallback spot.
I'll stick with Anand because she did say we shouldn't split up.
Oh,
But we should try and see if maybe we don't need to rent a room. Maybe we can just enter like everybody else. There's a lot of people that going for a party. Let's just
That is
figure
my
out.
point.
The last
That's
time we
what I
made
was
it was easier. But
legal.
let's try to just enter and we'll see where it goes from there. I would also suggest that we look if this person has come back since our last visit. Maybe we check one of the rooms that we opened to see if it's locked again, or or the wards, to check if the wards on it changed. And then we can go and look around for the students and to get some lead on the one that interests us. What do you think about this, Anand?
So you want to go to the room first and then the students, or students first and then the room?
Nah, not actually visiting the room, more to check the doors on a room, if they have been locked, unlocked, if there were maybe some bars changed. But I don't think that we actually should waste time on exploring the rooms, but just to see if something changed with the doors. To get it, to try and get an idea if the person that set it all up has returned or not. And then the students.
Okay. So I guess we are going to try to go in the way that we did before and use like the outside way in versus the actual proper way, I guess.
Well, we could go around the front, but if we go around the front, then we got to make sure we talk to the receptionist, and I don't think we should be talking to people much. There's a door right there. He points towards the back end of the parking lot, the rear door that leads up to the second floor first, and of course there are stairwells inside that would allow you enter down onto the ground floor. But it's clear that most of the students who are filling the parking lot in their various Hondas, Nissans, Chevys, and old Fords are using that to get to whatever the party room is.
Seems like a plan.
Yeah, let's go that way.
But I would be paying attention if there are any wards, like blood magic wards that can alert someone to our presence. Oh, I mean, it's all this shit warded, but I mean, something new or something that will pique my interest.
And guys, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus aspects, Jacob, and as you all are entering.
So the roll was just for Jacob, or are we all rolling once we get in?
Well, he was looking at intuiting where you all are entering. He's checking the door jamb. He's looking at the welcome mat. He's checking the brickwork around the entrance, the auxiliary entrance that you guys are using. You all are aware that he's doing it. You can see him inspecting. So if there's anything that you all are attempting when watching Jacob do his thing, you all would need to let me know.
No,
Yes, I'll
no, I'm
roll
just
3.
head on a swivel.
Frederick, would Hey Jacob, if you want to describe what you're saying, I'm very fascinated to know. I only hear about what magic looks like.
Obviously, I'll need your help. Storyteller, I'll need your help, but I will be describing what I'm seeing, especially if there's something interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and I rolled. I got 3 successes.
Well, seeing the clear sign that there is, again, the layering of it all. That's the part that causes consternation in you, Jacob. If there was a simple, singular sigil, a rune, or a Native American carving, or there are certain signs, well, letters in Aramaic that are phrases unto themselves. There are certain Persian symbology that forms phrases in and of themselves, and those are usually what most modern Tremere rely on. Of course, there are some who still devolve or divert back to the Latin or the Greek, but those newer alphabets, those newer workings, have a leaning that can be posited or understood clearly. Every Tremere, when rising through the ranks at the hands of an actual chantry where there is a regent, some of the fundamentals is in understanding the Latinized version of that ancient Sumerian, Babylonian, Persian, Aramaic, so that you can blend and build your own code to protect your intellectual property. In the doing, it typically ends up becoming a signature of a certain school of thought in general, and occasionally, more often than not, a signature as to the Tremere that actually did the working. But the layering here, as it swirls from Babylonian into Aramaic, back through Latin, down through Greece, up through French, Gallic French, over to ancient Celt, back through the Kosa or Igbo alphabet and back. It is a layering that confounds because it doesn't match up with any school of training or thought that you are immediately aware of. It's the workings of someone who has spent time focused on escape. Most of the filigree spell work, most of the code that you can break down and see is all about escaping. Most protection spells are about instilling safety, security, sanctuary. They're built to withstand. This one is to evade, to elude, to alight. And the phrasing of it, to escape, to evade, to alight, to unlock safety, to elude sadness and depression, to evade the enemies that might come. That phrasing not very mirror-like. It's almost as if it's saying something in and of itself, but the what is the question.
Well, since it's not actually harming or should cause us any harm, as far as I can understand, then I would not stop there too much. We will just proceed. But I will describe this to Dr. Frederick. Yeah, and I would say it's like more of a lot of intricate writings that together combined they create some magical effects that then can influence you. But we can talk more about magic when we are back in the chantry. I can show you some stuff. If you've never seen it and you would like to.
Well, no, I mean I can't see it the way you guys can. I can do it just as any of you, but I can't see it. Yeah, if we have time after this, I would really love if you can transcribe what you're looking at, just so I have something to study.
What do you mind? What do you mean you can see it?
You need aspects, correct, to see the unseen?
Well, for some parts of it, yes, but there are some of the magic that is very obvious. You know, like stealing someone's vitae from the distance is something you would see.
Yes,
You know?
I've seen that, but I
Oh.
mean the unseen parts is what I'm referring to.
And when we will be setting up more wards in the chantry, I'll show you how we do it, and you will be able to roughly grasp the idea, and then I'll try to describe to you how it all changes the second whatever we wrote will disappear. I'll try to describe it to you how it looks, what changes in it, so you have the rough idea. Now, where is Anand? Good. You just said like we don't separate, and then you separate from us. I was worried there for a second.
Everything comes at a cost. This is an unavoidable thing of existence. There is a trading, and that forms a connection from one thing to the next. As you all enter into this house of ill repute, which is what the motel is, this is the place you go to experience or give yourself over to your vice, your carnality, your viciousness, your selfishness. This is the place. It is a rite of passage for the bulk of the student body. As now, you've all entered twice and escaped once, and as you all are now here on the second floor, the same thrumming feel of magic pressing against your skin, loosely covered with the feel of happiness, loosely covered with the passionate pursuit of escape, ism, the passionate pursuit of inebriation and all that comes with it, the demon in the bottle and the devil in the mind. The excess that these students are going to reminds each of you of that myth about the maenads. Each of you are struck with the similarity of the satyrs dancing in the grove. Each of you are struck with the wildness of the centaurs and tales of old, the Grecian and Roman tales, the mythologies of those beings who've given themselves over to the grove god. those beings giving themselves over to the wild carnality and bestial nature of mankind's passion. You all nearly swept up in it. It's harder remaining cognizantly, individually focused. The weed and other smoked narcotics wafting and bouncing off the walls and filling the nostrils, doing nothing in and of themselves, but in combination with the wild release of the children present and the wards in several layers of layers shellacked on thick enough to preserve the wood beneath them. None the matter entirely. Anyone at present have fortitude?
No.
You all receive a bonus, but would each of you be so kind as to roll your wits plus resolve as the ethers, the essences, the narcotic poisons wafting through the air, mingling with the spell work that has taken place at this location, meld and conflate into a beast externalized from yourself, luring you away like Sela, bounding you between Charybdis, ushering you on like the Gorgons, to whom their beauty is awe-inspiring and astounding enough to freeze you in your tracks. The sirens call. Eight steps in, forming a shield wall around your hearts and your focuses. You all each managed to push through the constant titillation and the call. Well, you know you can slip to the side. You all didn't heed. There's the chance that you just and you all managed to not give in. You managed to hold off your darker, baser impulses as it attempts to sway you all into stepping into one of the rooms where there happens to be, less than 5 students partying with their speakers and phones and strobe lights and strips that they've purchased from Temu or Five Below or found at the dollar store and strung along their hotel rooms, so that it's instead of it being a singular party in one room, there is a singular party taking the entirety of the floor. There are several rooms, their doors are open. Some of them have the suite doors between the 2 rooms open, and it is a bacchanalia on display. These students, these young-minded youths who have had the opportunity, their first taste of unbridled freedom, the power of choice coursing through their veins and given full release. In the resistance of that clarion call, you realize it is not just the narcotics in the air, the sex on offer, the release on display. No, it is the wards, those same wards that drove you all flying from this place previously, adding to the magic and the power of the everyday that these students are reveling in. As you all investigate from a distance, as you manage to skim along the surface without being pulled under, as you resist the waves upon waves of excess thrown your way, you find yourselves in the northeast corner of the building. You're not sure what's drawn you there. You know the room that you're looking for is downstairs on the first floor, but swept along and resisting and being buffeted, you find yourselves in a port of call, a small causeway that leads to the building immediately behind the motel. There shouldn't be, or there isn't, as far as you all remember, a hall that leads there, but here you all are. There is a causeway, a breeze through hallway towards that garage space. The question is, do you dare? Do you enter into that clearly disused, non-externally lit space?
Should we follow this?
No, I don't want to separate.
No, we shouldn't separate. I'm not excited about this, but I mean, we're obviously being drawn here for a reason. So, Anand is going to go into her pocket and get the burner that Rita had given them. But she didn't put like the SIM chip or whatever back in it. It's not actually a phone anymore, but she can use it as a flashlight. So she turns the flashlight on.
There's a cost to everything. There's a unfair rate of exchange, especially in and revolving around blood sorcery as an art, a mission, and a lifestyle. The moment the electronic light is triggered on your cell phone and you hold it aloft and you peer through the dark, you begin noticing the Art Deco furniture piled up on either side of the hall. You begin to notice the burnished copper tile above your head. You begin to notice the floors tiled in geometric patterns. Still in that Nouveau Art Deco style that was all the rage at the turn of the century. Not this century, of course, but last century. As the 1800s became the 1900s. As war and rumors of war were everyone's daily bread. As service bonds and the nationalistic fervor of nations drove the world towards the brink of destruction. Beginning to know that these antiques are well kept. The upholstery isn't threadbare or overly used. Burnished copper, polished and clean, often enough that there are no signs of dust on them. The external lightlessness, a thing of stained panes, painted and repainted to ensure not so much as one drop of the sun's rays might enter. There's a creeping dread as you realize that the wards you all felt have grown in proliferation. There's something tugging at the mind to push you all elsewhere. Do you stay the course? Is the question.
What if we're being led to some sort of trap?
The problem is we were led here, and now we're being led away again. So What does that mean?
Well, is it back the way we came, or is it a different direction? I
We
I
need
want
to
to
go in
take
here.
in like our immediate surroundings.
Okay. I feel like we need to keep going.
Very well. Stay the course.
It takes like what seems forever, far longer than that distance appeared to be, far longer than that minute and a half walk at the outside. It was really closer to 30 seconds that should have taken to cross that causeway into that garage space. And yet here you are still trying to make it down that fucking hall. As if something, anything, everything is trying to get you once more to follow the song elsewhere. The same song you all resisted with the narcotics in the air, the same drum beat that instead of causing the hair to stand on the back of your neck, you all ignored. Unlike your first time here, unlike your first arrival, you ignored all of the signs that said run, just that said leave. The assaulting of the spirits around you, you all pushed through. You resiliently put one foot in front of the other and continue on. Everything in you all says to not, to go back, to flee. Discretion is the only part of valor that matters, and yet you all valiantly continue. Reaching the end of the causeway and peering into the dark, you hear the unmistakable, undeniable. For those of you old enough to have witnessed it firsthand, it stirs the memory. It warms the cockles of the heart. For those of you who grew up much later and didn't have the actual typewriter, it's the mechanical keyboard that you've all heard time and time again. But this is considerably more mechanical, more grating. The of the typing, as there's a choir of keyboardists, typists, stenographers. You're not sure the best words used to describe it. You are sure of the sound that you hear. You are sure of what you all feel, as if each keystroke is freeing and explaining the foundations of every world around you. As if the world is being typed out as you all are approaching the sound of that typewriter. The ding of the tab being struck and the return being fired, sending the dial down the other way. And you hear those click, clack, clack, clang, clang, clang. It sounds like Hephaestus at the forge, as if Zeus is alighting each of his strikes with not the lightning in his left hand, but the thunder in his right. You all push on into the dark, growing closer to that sound, the origination of that sound. And by a Tiffany shaded green lamp, beneath its light, you all see Eric Wise typing away. Be with you in 1 minute. Give me a few seconds to complete this thought, and I'll be able to address your concerns in a quick moment. Thank you all for a lovely episode, and I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you, and see you next week.
They gun it.